Okay, so let's just go ahead and get down to it. Hey everybody, this is Debo. You guys might know me from either Twitch TV or in the forum somewhere, or somehow you got to this video. But anyways, basically I'm going to be doing covering this new build, or I don't know if it's necessarily a new build, but I mean just a build I've been playing around with for a long time. I haven't really ever delved back into it. It's called the Regulator build. That's what it's called for short. Really, it's just a typical Zuni build with using Pylon and using Zombie Charger with Pylon and using the Widowmaker to get back your mana. Basically, it's just allows you to actually still be casting big damaging spells as a Witch Doctor and still having your pets do a lot of damage. So I don't want to make this video too long. We're going to make it short, sweet, informational, and to the point. In terms of my gear, of course we're going to run Jeroms. And we're also going to run Tasker and Theo. Increase pet's attack speed and increase pet damage makes sense. This is a pet build. 2-piece Ogdal's Authority. We also on the shoulders have increased fetish damage because this version is a Zuni Masa version. And we also have physical increased damage because we're focusing on physical. Especially since Pylon is physical itself. I have a typical straightforward physical necklace with Int, crit percent chance, and critical damage. I have the 3-piece Zuni set. Int Vit, has a Fetish Army increased damage, of course. Shoes, straightforward, and the offhand also has increased Fetish Army damage. We have the Stone of Jordan, increases physical skills by 16% more damage, or whatever physical Stone of Jordan you can get. And the Ring of Royal Grandeur, which basically reduces the set cost, allowing us to get a 3-piece bonus for the Ogdals, 4-piece bonus for the Zuni Masa. I also do like to run a 2-piece Blackthorn. I like the belt and also the pants, and we also get the 3-piece extra mitigation from the elites. However, you don't need to run Blackthorns. You can actually run, some people like to run Hexing Pants if they're really that brave and bold. Some people like to run Witching Hour. Some people might just want to run something completely different. So on your pants and belt option, those are pretty much interchangeable. But for everything else is pretty much, I would say, non-negotiable. Thunder Furious is another weapon. If you want to run SMK with this build, that would work out pretty well, and run Big Bad Voodoo, maybe drop Piranhas, but I prefer to have Piranhas because it basically puts all the enemies in one spot, and then I can drop a bunch of pylons on top of them. So that's pretty much the gear. I like Thunder Fury because it rolled pretty good damage and it procs lightning out a lot, which actually works pretty well. In terms of the skills, we have Corpse Spiders, which are physical, and then 324% weapon damage, and every time they hit, it gives you 3 mana back per hit, which will help us keep our mana up. Pylon, 800% weapon damage as physical to any enemies that it hits. The only bad thing about Pylon is that sometimes it's hard to aim. That's the only thing I've noticed that gives me a little bit of problems, and I get frustrated with, but once you get used to it, it'll be no problem. We have Spirit Walk with Jaunt. 3 seconds in Spiritual Realm. If you're really having mana issues, you can actually use Honored Guest, but I don't. Legion of Daggers, because it's physical. 8 fetishes. Pretty straightforward choice here. And Restless Giant with physical. Now, you can run Gargantuan with... well, you don't really even need to run Gargantuan. You can actually switch this out for a different skill. I prefer to have Gargantuan because that's another enemy or another pet on the field of play. Protects me from shit. It also basically... enrages itself in attacks, but we're not using how do you say Midnight Feast. So if you wanted to alternate this out, alternate this skill out, you can, but I prefer to have Gargantuan. Piranha's Peronato puts all the enemies in one area and clumps them all up so you can drop Pylon on top of them. The passives are Pierce the Veil, increase damage, Grave Injustice, so we get back mana per kill. We also reduce the cooldown of Piranha's Peronato. Blood Ritual to reduce the cost of the Pylon, and also Fetish Sycophant so we can generate whoa, sorry, I almost made a mistake here. This is live service, so instead of Fetish Sycophants, it would be Midnight Feast. That's why I'm running Gargantuan. Ha ha ha! I'm not too crazy. I thought I was going crazy, so Gargantuan actually has relevance now. The reason why we don't run the Fetish Sycophants yet is because they conflict with each other, and this is on live server. But when PTR actually does release, I will make another update to this build where basically I will be using Fetish Sycophants along with the Zuni Masa to get 23 fetishes out. But since we're dealing with the live server builds right now, this is what we're going to be using. So let us go ahead and get inside the T6 Rift. Hopefully I can clear this fairly quickly, get in, get out, and just showcase the build and how it works. Kills pretty well. Gets the job done. And just so it's not too mind-numbing, let's enable a little bit of sound, because I know you guys like sound, right? There we go. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay over the course of the game sound. If not, I will tone down the sound, so please let me know if it's too loud, guys, in the stream who are watching. But as you can see, the pylon does about 15 million damage on trash mobs, and then also on the elite mobs, it actually does about 25 million, which is pretty nice. Alright, so every time I do Paranado, I spam until I pretty much can't cast pylons, and I back it up with using the spiders that give me back mana.
Not ready yet.
And the damage is pretty nice. The fetishes kill everything pretty easily. They're hitting pretty hard. Restless Giant activates on the elites. And the damage from pylon is pretty nice on the elites and what have you not.
Need more time.
Hopefully I don't get trapped anywhere. Oh, the mob density is really not that great in this one.
Needs more time.
There we go. Ooh, the next level. But as you can see, you can get a lot of pylons off, and it's usually not too much of a problem. As long as you're spamming your spiders and you're killing stuff, your mana replenishes very quickly. And sometimes you don't even need to cast pylon, but usually I like to spam the heck out of it because it's pretty enjoyable and satisfying when you watch a whole bunch of monsters just basically just get crit to death and die. Alright. Okay. I hope I get a little bit more mob density. This is kind of disappointing. But we're going through the rift pretty easily. There's nothing too much to worry about. That was a bad Paranado, but that's okay. There we go. Piranha's a Paranado. Oh, we got an elite. Nice. So Piranha's a Paranado, and then you just basically spam pylon like a crazy man. And it's like 21 to 25 million depending on the crit, but as you can see, the elites die really fast, especially when your pets are doing damage and you're casting pylon. The DPS is pretty monstrous. Now, one thing I will do is I will make a video of me using this build on PTR just to see how high I can climb with it, because it is a very fun and interesting build, and I would kind of like to know what the capabilities of it are. When patch 2.1 comes out, I probably would use the pet gem, the stagger gem, and then probably, I don't know what the last gem would actually be. Probably swiftness, so I can get more attack speed, so I can spam more spiders and generate more fetishes. There we go. Normally I'd be picking up those lovely items, but for the sake of the video, I will just push onward so we can wrap this up. I usually, like I said, when I make most of my guide videos, I like to always show the different variations, how they do in Greater Rifts, and then, you know, talk about what gear you should use and just show the build in action so you guys can see what's going on. And we're almost halfway there. So Piranha's a Paranado, and that's the reason I like it so well, because Piranha's a pylon, or the Paranado with the pylon works really well. It's very strong. So if you never thought about using this, the cool thing about it is you're still going like a major physical pet build, and if you wanted to add Fetish Sycophants and just drop Gargantuan in the future, you can also do that, because you'll be able to generate a bunch of fetishes, have 23 fetishes out, and still be able to cast your pylons and stuff like that, because they do a ton of damage, especially if you line it up. And then just when you run low on mana, you just go back to spamming spiders. And then pylon, you don't have to be too close to cast either, so you can stand a little bit back. And then just when I run low on mana, I just go back to recasting. Ooh, don't want to die. There we go. One thing you could do is that if you wanted to in the future, you could actually, when 2.1 comes out, you could drop Gargantuan, run Fetish Sycophants instead of Midnight Feast, and then have 23 fetishes out and then use SMK. And then you could spam Big Bad Voodoo, have, spam the Big Bad Voodoo and Stale Pranos of Perinato, and then you can stand in the Big Bad Voodoo and cast your, pylons. And I imagine that the damage would actually get up to be pretty ridiculous. It would probably hit about 30 million if you're standing in Big Bad Voodoo per pylon cast. Now, if you want to build the damage towards pylon, or increase zombie charger on all your gear, that could do it too. I wouldn't necessarily do that though. I would rather have increased damages for my fetishes, but that's totally up to you. If you like the damage of it, then you can definitely go that route. If you don't like Piranhas of Perinata, you can also switch it out for the what is it? Boogadile. That also is physical, and your Boogadile would hit really hard because you're stacking a bunch of physical. Alright, a little bit over half. Hopefully we can get towards this, get the Rift Boss down, and then we'll conclude the video.
Needs more time.
I will also be concluding a version of this build where it uses a Rinho Flailer. So if you don't want to use the Zuni pieces and you want to go something different, I also have a version of the build where you can do a Rinho Flailer. I'll be showing that off. And like I said, in the future, once everything gets updated with patch 2.1, I'll come back and do this build again, but I'll do it with the SMK. And I will do it with Zuni pieces and Fetish Sycophants so I can get the max fetishes out. The main reason I don't... Well, a lot of my new guides, I mean, I could use SMK in a lot of them, but I always try to think of the general player base, and a lot of people don't have that. So I always like to just showcase people like, hey, this is how it works with SMK, this is how it works without SMK, this is the build you can do with this, or you don't necessarily need a lot of hard-to-acquire items. I think the hardest item out of this whole build to get probably would be, in my opinion, is a Ring of Royal Grandeur. The other ones, Drum, to me is not that hard to get. Well, probably Taskers and that. Both of those would probably be very difficult to get. And this guy got Jailer and Arcane. He's not being friendly. I'm actually going to have to save my Spirit Walk and play smart. There it is. Uh-oh. And that's one thing about the pylons. Sometimes you will miss, but when you do land like a lot of pylons and stuff like that, the monsters just basically just dissipate and die really fast. Woo! My died. Dead. I was trying to make this run flawless, but shit does happen. Avenger, Arcane, Enchanted, Jailer. If there's somebody out there with Blizzard, please remove the damage from Jailer. It is not satisfactory. There we go. Much better. Hey, we got an axe. And of course it would not be the Axis Ancus. I'm still trying to look for a good one version of those. So yeah, if you're a new upcoming Witch Doctor and you're just starting off, just using the Corpse Spiders with the Zombie Charger Pylon, and then also using Blood Ritual works out pretty well. And then since you're probably going to be going a Fetish Sycophants build, when you're going physical anyway, the Zombie Charger ends up working out pretty well altogether. The build starts getting really strong when you get a high amount of critical percent chance and critical damage, of course. Doesn't really need a lot of attack speed, but attack speed is nice because if you're running the Fetish Sycophants in the future, you can generate more fetishes, and the more attack speed you have, more spiders you shoot out. The more spiders you shoot out, the more quickly you can get back mana when you get low. Now, if you never want to pretty much run out of mana and you want to focus more casting on Pylon, you could take out Pierce the Veil. I wouldn't recommend it, but it would conserve your mana immensely. Go. Well, to be truthful, one thing you could do to increase the damage if you really want versus elites, if you really want to be a tryhard, you can actually switch out the Sunkeeper before you cast the pylons too. That does actually increase the damage pretty significantly versus that elite damage. But for the most part, I like using Thunder Fury with this build, or if I really want to go overpowered, SMK. But like I said, I'm just trying to showcase it Not with certain items that people have troubles with, but more, you know, items that people can be like, okay, I might have a Thunder Fury. If you have a Doombringer, that's also very nice because, you know, Doombringer's physical property, and that would actually make the pylon hit a lot harder. But I just find that if you actually have pretty strong, good rolls on crit percent chance, critical damage on your gear, have a physical size and a bracer, you kind of don't need it because the one thing I did notice about the Doombringers, they roll kind of low in the damage department. Right. And this guy is being difficult. Woo. I'm threading the needle today. Now, if you do want to run more damage and not have to worry so much about mitigation, or you just want to go for maximum damage, what you could do is you could drop the Saj ring, and you actually could instead run the double Unity follower combo. I'm not utilizing that right now, but once I get my second Unity ring, I most definitely will. PTR I do, and it makes things a lot easier in case you're worrying about the damage mitigation, or you can always just run, oh, what is it called? What is it called? What is it called? What's it called? The Stagger Gem, and that basically breaks over damage over a certain amount of time, and that does actually help out a lot in terms of mitigating damage. And there goes the Rift Guardian, but we still have to finish off these elites. They are brutal today.
I must wait longer.
There we go.
I cannot do that.
Somebody doesn't like me today. Death Maiden, Frozen Pulse. What do you have? Electrify, reflect damage. Woo! Somebody don't like me. Give me that health globe. There we go. We're good now. We got this unlocked. Alright, so things should go pretty much routine straight unless she teleports to me and decides to make an example out of me. So she's lined up, and I'll spam the pylon. And she is down. Or she's almost down. There we go. And she dropped nothing worthwhile.
I need to go.
Okie dokie. So again, this is just a different, interesting build to try out. I think the build's going to be a lot better once 2.1 hits and we can actually get 23 fetishes on the deck. It's going to improve dramatically because you'll have way more fetishes out there to do damage. But this is just something in case you want to look into like using a spell combination or using an ability to basically make it so that your pets are not just doing the only big source of damage. So while your pets are doing their damage, you can also use Pylon and with Paranado and get a lot of damage onto the field on top of your pets doing damage on doing their damage on the field of battle as well too. Like I said, there will also be another video where it actually incorporates using Rinho Flailer with to generate mana with the toads, and then also still using Pylon and stuff like that, but just basically with the Rinho Flailer alternative, in case you don't want to just basically not use a Thunder Fury or whatever weapon you pretty much have. But as always, I appreciate you guys watching my videos, and I will check you guys later.